doing that in this format. Come on.
It seems like a Consulate Crackdown would be pretty good against this deck.
Oh, well, yeah.
You shut up.
When you take all
nice
the artifacts.
clues.
Hey, when you take all the things from Dovinbon, I'm sure he gets pretty sad. You're right. He just needs 8. And you're like, none. Which doesn't make any sense because he's with the Consulate. I don't understand. Who knows?
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
All right. Next card, Mana Leak.
Close. Did start with an M.
Metallic Rebuke.
Leak.
Metallic Leak.
That is.
So got two.
You got a leak here. You got to patch it
That's what a
up.
robot does in his private time.
In a little robot room.
When the robot goes to the facilities, that's what it's doing. So it's 2 generic blue instant. Has improvise. So this is the first improvised card.
Your artifacts can help you cast this spell.
Yeah.
It's so friendly.
Yeah. So you can tap artifacts to reduce the cost by 1.
That's one generic, right?
1 generic, yeah. And it counters target spell unless its controller pays 3. So, yeah, I mean, if you have 1 artifact on the battlefield when you cast this, it's actually just Mana Leak.
Yeah, if you go turn 1 Thraben Inspector,
Yeah.
you have Mana Leak.
Yeah.
As long as you want it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I think this card is pretty great. I think it's going to see a lot of play.
Yep. This is another villager for the control deck.
so can we talk about like how everybody who like on Kaladesh can improvise and like make their own like cool things, and they're all just master builders from the Lego Movie, right? It's like improvise. Ding, 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 ding. I made a counterspell out of metal. I did it. It's like I don't. Yeah, you're Tezzeret. I'm not gonna argue with you.
Eat it.
How long until I get a master builder hand? You don't.
You don't
Talk about the hand. Don't even look at it.
I think this card could even be better than Mana Leak in some spots, right? Because you could just cast it for 1.
Yeah.
Like 1 and then tap two artifacts that you have. I mean, it's pretty good.
Yeah, it's good, but like it's not Mana Leak then because like you couldn't cast it on turn 2 for that much.
Right. But I'm saying like there are some spots where it's just going to cost you 1 mana, and
Yeah,
like even just like full 3 mana counter target spell unless they pay 3. That's not like totally unplayable.
It's already in the
There
format.
was like they have to pay 4.
Oh, Spell Shrivel, yeah.
Spell Shrivel, and that's how some play. Yeah.
I played it.
Yeah, I played
Forgot
it. I got a lot of people with spell shrivel.
Yeah, you go.
All their spells just shriveled away.
So yeah, I mean this card will be a thing, and I'm kind of surprised that they printed it. For being honest,
Got to throw blue bone every now and then.
There's
only when you give them an infinite combo. Then you give them good counter edge.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
That's
when they really need
This
it.
all makes sense.
Yeah, how else are they gonna like not die to the combo deck?
Do you want to talk about Concentrate?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I guess we're just going to rename all these spells, aren't we?
Sorry.
Hey.
This is Reverse Engineer. This is a sorcery for 3 generic blue. It has Improvise, so again, your artifacts can be very helpful. Draw 3 cards. So 5 mana, draw 3 cards. We've had a lot of these recently. However, in the deck that wants this, like I say Concentrate, because Concentrate was harmonized, right? The blue into for draw 3 cards. And we haven't actually seen that in a long time in blue. And this gets better than that. If you're building your deck to really take advantage of Improvise, then this card is pretty gross because if you're building your deck to use Improvise, and you're probably trying to chain a lot of spells together anyways, and this one becomes like this, like you draw it off the top and you're like, oh, well, I'll just spend 2 mana on this, and then I can probably cast a bunch of the spells that I'm going to draw off of it. So it really leads itself to combo gameplay.
So when you draft this set for the first time and you're building this this blue base artifact deck, and you open your first Kaladesh pack and you see what's the best glorious card that you can see when you're building this improvise deck that you're trying to make that isn't like a rare or even an uncommon. Just Prophetic Prism, right?
Oh,
that
yeah,
card just
that
gets
card,
that's the new mythic rare common. He's
I mean,
please.
I don't want to compare this to Treasure Cruise because it's definitely not Treasure Cruise, but it almost has that same feel that Treasure Cruise had, like you said, where you could play it for 2 potentially, and then still have a bunch of mana to do stuff with. Like Treasure Cruise,
it's definitely in the deck though. Like Treasure Cruise got a lot of decks. This one,
right,
has a deck.
Right, you definitely need to build with this in mind. You're not just going to throw it into any deck,
which doesn't make any sense because Improvise suggests you shouldn't.
You shouldn't think. You should just do.
Just do master build.
I got you.
Parkour.
Parkour.
But yeah, like there were some people complaining that this wasn't an instant, and I'm pretty glad it's not an
Yeah, this card
instant.
would be
Like,
really good if it was an instant.
Yeah,
Oh my
geez,
God.
you monsters.
yeah,
Take your counter spells and be happy.
yeah. But
You want to talk about Savage Color? No, I'm just kidding. I just would love the name of that card.
It's so savage. I think Shielded Aether Thief is the next one that we're going to be
Yeah.
talking about.
so this is the card I put on here. I don't know if this card's going to see play or not, but I think it's pretty interesting. So Shielded Aether Thief is a generic in a blue for a 0/4 Vidalcan Rogue. Has flash. Whenever it blocks, you get an energy, and then you can tap it and pay 3 energy to draw a card. So I could see this card seeing sideboard play against aggressive decks. You know, and if you're playing something like the Dynavolt Tower deck where, you know, it's not like Aetherworks Marvel where you're trying to get to a specific amount of energy, but you're just kind of gaining a lot of incidental energy as the game goes on. Like maybe you're playing like the draw 2, you know, get a couple energy card. Like I think this is something that could be a nice way to kind of halt the beatdowns and then, you know, draw you a couple extra cards as the game goes on. But there may be other cards that do that better. I'm not sure, but this card does a lot of things for 2 mana, I think. So
Sure. So next up we have Skyship Plunderer, which is definitely just a villain from Captain Planet.
Yeah, man.
But this is a 2/1 flyer that's a human pirate for a blue and a generic. It says whenever it deals damage or combat damage to a player, for each kind of counter on target permanent or player, give that permanent or player another counter of that kind. So it's kind of like a Thummingbird, which proliferated. But it
you
seems
only choose one.
yeah, it proliferate hit everything that you wanted, but this seems pretty good. It's certainly playable. I don't know what deck wants it, but 2/1 flyers for 2 are never terrible, and like getting that kind of an effect, like even if it's like you played Aether Hub, you know, on turn 2, and then like you're just giving yourself another energy, it's worthwhile.
So the way this is worded, right? So like say if I have energy and also infect damage, like I would get an energy and another infect.
Yes. And
That's really weird.
If your
Or like,
creature had like a +1/+1 counter and a charge counter, it would get both.
okay, or like a fate counter.
Yes.
For why would you need 2? But I don't know.
You
That's
could also give yourself an experience counter, depending on the format. So.
Oh, well, I guess that's true.
ooh,
Hot darn.
multi-format all-star. No, this card's sweet. Like 2 mana 2/1 flyers are just pretty solid, and depending on how the format shapes up, can be pretty playable. So
To be fair, though, creatures like this are the reason that energy prices are so high. Energy costs go high because you always talk about like why do you pay more at the store, and they have a cost built in for people who steal things, loss prevention essentially. This guy's making your gas go up. Just saying.
He's a pirate, man. Pirate's gonna pirate.
Yeah, but I'm saying like little kids probably think he's cool. Like he's running around flying through the sky, and then he's like winking at little kids, and they're like, "I want to be like that." And your mom's like, "Well, if you want to be like that, you can live in a cardboard box because we can't afford electricity in the house anymore."
Now, Mike, would you steal a car?
No.
Would you steal money?
From who?
No, I'm trying to make a joke.
No.
And why would you steal energy? It's just like, in the beginning of movies. Do you remember that? Did you ever see the PSA?
Oh yeah.
It's trying to make you feel like garbage
Why
because
would
you
steal
like
movies?
pirated a movie.
It's a lot easier to steal a movie. I don't know.
Yeah, it's not easy to steal a car. So
Like-
clearly, it's just very easy to steal energy. Like, let's be real.
Oh yeah, I
here.
mean, there's a whole war about it, so it must
Yeah,
be super
exactly.
easy.
Pretty much.
Anyways,
That's what it's saying to me. I mean, we'll talk about. I don't know if that card's on here, but there's a card in this set where the guy's like, "Hey, it's just a round, man. I'm just doing it because I can."
Wow,
All right, we can get off
compelling
this card.
storytelling.
I know. Sorry. Trophy Mage.
Trophy Mage. So this is next in the line of Trinket Mage and Treasure Mage, right?
Yeah.
Those are the two
Those are the
before.
ones.
So this is a 2 generic and a blue human wizard. It's a 2/2. When it enters the battlefield, you may search your library for an artifact card with exactly converted mana cost 3. Reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle.
Could have been 3 or 4. Just saying, Panamonicon would have loved you.
Maybe they tried that, and it's like, eh.
So what it would
Maybe-
technically it had to be if this was like the exact middle, it'd be like with converted mana
5?
cost of no, it'd be because is treasure 6 or 7?
6.
6. So it's between 5 and 2.
Yeah.
Roll a die.
No, this isn't
That
going
might
to
be a
be
little
like
too
Jack in
good.
the Box.
Back of the box.
Yeah. So obviously this card is going to be playable dependent on what kind of sweet things you can get with it. I'll just say it again. Revolt Tower costs 3, so
That is true.
That's a thing. Maybe I really just want to play Revolt Tower. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, there's a couple things it can get, but it's also cool to have like a tutor like this in the format. I know we're technically would be leaving the artifact set, but whenever you
It's-
see
yeah.
anything it gets printed while it's in standard and even modern. I mean, both Trinket Mage and Treasure Mage have seen play in modern, so
This one can get swords.
it
And
can
modern?
get swords.
It's a good trophy.
Oh, it's Stoneforge Mystic. Oh, I figured it out.
Oh, yeah,
man.
jeez. Yeah, because that was definitely the important part of Stoneforge Mystic.
Shut up.
But
It was
yeah,
pretty
no,
important
this-
actually.
yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, Stoneforge Mystic goes to get like Batter Skull, which is
Yeah, that's
a
right.
little bit more than 3.
Okay.
But yeah, this
If
is
we were the 5 and 2 card, then you'd have me sold.
that would be way too good.
Yes, agreed.
Anyway, yeah, this is a thing. I'll be honest, I didn't really like research all the sweet things you can get. I was like sold on Revolt Tower. That's all. You don't need to say anymore. That's
Play
fine.
Bant Humans in modern, and you can get Hall of Triumph and name Human. Or
Ooh.
no, it's a color. Darn it, Hall of Triumph is color. Never mind, it's worthless.
Tried.
That's all right.
Well,
It's
you
the
can just
Door
make
of
them all
Destinies.
blue.
What's the? You can play the Shapeshifter, the 3 mana. Like you choose a creature type and all the creatures that type.
Oh, Automaton?
Yeah. That's it.
Whatever it's called.
All right, let's move on to Whir of Invention. This is looks a lot like a spell that we've seen.
Yeah.
Called Court of Calling. It's weird. This is a converted mana cost of X, blue. Instant. Has improvise, so again, your artifacts can help out. Search your library for an artifact card with converted mana cost X or less, put it onto the battlefield, then shuffle your library. So, man, this one, like, people keep saying it's Court. I obviously made the comparison. I will say, having blue, and the cost, and improvise cannot, reduce mana requirements, whereas Cord can. It makes this a tough sell for a lot of decks. Now, there's certainly a deck that that's all in mono blue artifacts, and I think it exists. But there's not a lot of other decks you're really casting this card consistently in.
Yeah, there are decks in Modern that want specific artifacts. So, like, Lantern Control comes to mind, where you
Can you
have...
make 3 blue consistently, though?
You might. There's a land in this set that would help a lot.
That is true.
So, I mean, I think the mana base would have to change for that deck, but it's certainly possible to do. Also, it's important to note that, like, you can just pay 3 blue and then X0 and, like, go get a Lotus Bloom and put it into play. Now, that doesn't actually net you anything, but, I mean, it's another
it's like
thing.
saving it up.
Like, if you wanted to turn your 3 blue into, like, 3 red, I don't know. Like,
Well,
it's-
I mean, more than that, though, you can do it at the end of your turn.
Yeah,
you could do,
that's-
yeah.
I mean, if there's a deck that exists in Modern that would want to do that, it's called Ad Nauseam.
Well, I think there's another one, too. There's a card. There's what used to be eggs is was it Clark Clan Ironworks. That's the one.
Oh, yeah.
And this, like, at end of turn, being able to go find Ironworks at the end of turn to go off is pretty good.
Oh, yeah.
Because you're
Yeah.
casting this on turn 3 or 4 pretty consistently with that deck, depending on the draw. And you can make 3 blue because it's just blue-white. So,
Yeah, this is like the real tutor card. Like this,
Correct.
This one is,
Trophy Mage, you're cool and all, but
yeah. This is a card that like can be pretty busted, I think, and especially in a format like Modern, which there are a lot more things that you can get. Obviously,
never costing less than actually 3, like, actual mana, like, Mox or Chrome, or Mox Opal aside, is going to hurt it. But it's certainly playable.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's definitely a step below Court of Calling,
Sure.
in actuality, but it's still powerful.
But in Modern, you get to play blue mana instead of green mana. So
It's true.
it's worked out for me so far.
So that's blue.
Blue gets a lot of stuff, which blue kind of needed, and then so I think it kind of it's a good set. This is a good blue set.
A lot of counter spells, a lot of like playable counter spells.
Yeah,
and-
standard playable counter spells for sure.
All right, so moving on to black.
Yes.
And the first card we're going to talk about is another improvised card. So it's Battle at the Bridge. I should say another improvised X card. So it costs X and a black sorcery. Target creature gets -X/-X until end of turn. You gain X life. So this one doesn't have any broken applications like Word of Invention does, but I think this is, if there's going to be like an improvised deck, it seems like it's going to be blue-black based, and I think that this would be an important card to kind of stabilize against aggressive decks. It's likely not going to cost you much in the way of mana and can give you a nice little buffer. The fact that it gains you life, so
Yeah, I don't know.
it's not super exciting, but I think it's a nice card.
The only thing I want to say about this card is I like the art. I think they do a really good job of differentiating Tezzeret's use of metal, like even looking at like Metallic Rebuke compared to the other version of metal. Like his looks more chrome-like; it matches his arm, right? And like even in the storyline, they've mentioned that like no one really pays enough attention. Like Dovin Bond, is like people should know this guy isn't from this plane because that metal doesn't exist here. And like they do a good job of like letting people know like everyone else here is inventing, and like Tezzeret just feels metal. And like there's like a and I don't mean like meow, but
I mean, come on. He is the master of metal. Let's not forget this.
So, but I don't know, this card. I don't, man. It can certainly be a stopgap, but I don't know. It's not really winning you a game. And it's a large investment to kill anything worthwhile. So
Is it a large investment though? Like if you're playing a lot of cheap artifacts in your deck,
Yeah.
or even like you play it kind of in the mid game where like you might be below 10 life or something like that, and you're just like, oh, okay, I'll hit this creature for 6. All right.
Sure, maybe that's what you're able to do, but more than likely you have to kill something on turn 4 or turn 5, and like you're still tapping. Like you want to get the most life possible out of it, so you're still tapping
Yeah.
out to do. Like to kill one creature's worth of things. So against like mid-range decks, I think this card could be powerful. But like I think there's a lot of board states where you're going to be really sad this is the card you have in your hand.
Yeah, I don't think you want to depend on this as like your main removal spell.
No,
But I think I think this is nice to have just because if you didn't gain the life, I don't think this would be very good at all. But I think the fact that it is kind of a drain effect. I mean, we even see the I can't think of the card name, but the deal 3 game 3 card, the instant
Essence Drain.
Essence Drain. Yeah, I mean that has
Extraction.
Sure, Essence Distraction. That's the one.
that card has seen some standard play. So I mean, I think sometimes the control decks just need something to give them a little bit of life, and I think
Essence takesies, no takesies, backsies.
right.
Can we talk about go ahead.
Before I want to say, this card does remind me of another card that we actually have in Standard. It's a 6-mana Planeswalker named Sorin Grim Nemesis, who actually gets a lot better due to the bannings. So if you want that kind of effect and maybe can get in the white, you have a really cool Planeswalker you can play now.
That's true.
Let's talk about a real removal spell though. Let's talk about Sparta. I mean Fatal Push.
We talked about this card too. So.
We did, but I still can't get over how they called this a push and it's a kick, and I just feel like
Oh, how does it kill flying creatures, by the way? What are you pushing? Are you pushing them into like a turbine?
flying crane technique. So this is one black for just single black mana for an instant. Destroy target creature if it has converted mana cost 2 or less. Revolt if you had a permanent leave the battlefield this turn. Kill something with CMC 4 or less. Yeah, we did talk about this a lot. I think the card is pre-ordering for $5 or $6 as an uncommon.
It's absurd.
But
That
it
is
should tell
absurd.
you, it should tell you what people are doing with the card, though. Like, if an uncommon hits that pre-order price, that means it's being played a lot. Now, granted, the one thing you really wanted this for is not there anymore. Like this was your answer to Smuggler's Copter in Standard, but like it's an answer to a lot of other creatures too. Easy to trigger, and obviously its applications outside of Standard are really going to carry the card. So if you open up foils at your pre-release or anything, be really happy.
Yeah, no joke.
Yeah. I think it's going to be very interesting to see where the standard aggressive decks go. Obviously, losing Smuggler's Copter is a big deal for the aggressive decks, but also like this card being printed also is pretty bad for aggro.
Yeah.
I mean, just having a 1 mana, instant answer to any small threat or even medium-sized threat. I don't know. Yeah, I guess we'll see where it goes. But yeah, I mean this card is obviously pretty good. Multi-format applications for sure. Probably one of the best cards in the set.
Yep.
Yeah, it makes me, as an aggro player, very sad. A lot of my creatures are going to get pushed off of places.
Next card, Gifted Aetherborn. So this is black for a creature, Aetherborn Vampire. It's a 2/3 Death Touch lifelink. That's it.
Yeah, this is Vampire Nightwalk.
Yes.
That's what, I can't take credit. I saw that on Twitter. Or Vampire Fauxhawk, I've also seen.
Fauxhawk. No, this is a sweet
The other
card.
ones.
Nope, that's it. Those are two. I'm done. I'm done.
Laffy Taffy was out of
Good night.
things to put
Oh,
on
no.
there.
Copycat. Yeah. No.
What?
Oh, he's trying to make a...
I was making fun of you saying copycat, but...
Okay.
Yeah, because you can
Didn't-
name me things, but I can't, apparently.
yeah.
I understand it didn't make any sense.
Fauxhawk was better than Nightwalk.
Nightwalk, Vampire Nightwalk.
Yeah, because he doesn't fly.
I
Get it?
I get it.
Yeah, I don't know. Like,
Kill me.
this is a sweet card. I just don't know how good it's going to be if like the format's all about Saheeli Rai combo. But it's another card that's like kind of bad for beatdown decks. You can just play this and
Pretty hard to cast.
Pretty hard to cast.
Yeah,
Sure,
it's fairly hard to cast.
sure. But I don't know.
I think it's important to note that it does have a relevant creature type as well. You know, having the vampire creature type is pretty interesting.
They added vampire to a number of the Aetherborn, the ones that are able to take essence from others. I think that was a nice little subtle move there to hopefully increase their playability.
Yeah.
There's even an Aetherborn Lord in this set, but we're not going to talk about that
It's
card.
the 4-mana bad card.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, this is a card that it may end up just being a sideboard card against aggressive decks, but I mean, that's kind of how Nighthawk was used in a lot of scenarios when it was in Standard, so we shall see.
The next one we have is Glint Sleeve Siphoner. This is a 2/1 human rogue for black and a generic. It has Menace. It says, whenever Glint Sleeve Siphoner enters the battlefield or attacks, you get an energy. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may pay 2 energy. If you do, you draw a card and you lose 1 life. So once again, we have our Dark Confidant impersonator. This one doesn't feel bad though.
You know what? This one is like close. It still requires you to attack, which is unfortunate.
Yes.
Theoretically,
Well,
okay.
you don't have to attack.
Theoretically, requires you to
And
attack.
it has Menace, so like there's a good chance it's getting in at least once.
Yes. And I think overall, looking at things, black is definitely not one of the colors that can easily generate a lot of energy, which is kind of awkward. But this is a very capable Phyrexian what is that, arena effect.
Yeah, I think this is the reason why it's not. Well, it's obviously not as good as Bob, but you can't just put this into any deck. I think you need to have at least a couple ways to get energy other than just this card.
Good live fast.
You could
Die young.
you can play Aether Hub.
Yeah. Black is an awkward color for energy, unfortunately. But
Compare it with like green.
yeah,
like maybe
but
there's a new
it's
black green
certainly
style of deck.
usable and a very playable card. It's also like a human, which again is another relevant creature type. I don't know where we might see that more, but it's
There have been like black white human
Yeah.
decks out there.
we still have the Cabal. Is that it? Right, the white black creature that's really good. Time will tell. This is one of those cards that I think could easily see a ton of play, or we'll forget about it and it will never see play. So like Blood Scrivener, when everyone was really excited.
Yeah.
And Zombies deck was pretty average, and then it didn't see any play.
We've seen a lot of Dark Confidant impersonators over the years, and really none of them have been good.
Right.
So I'm very skeptical of this card, but I'm with you with like maybe they added Menace at the last minute. Maybe they didn't. I don't know. The fact that it gets a trigger on attack, maybe that was just part of it the whole time. But this one feels a little bit better, but we'll see.
Agreed.
All right. Next card we have is a mythic. It's Herald of Anguish. So it costs 5 generic black. It's a demon. It's 5/5. Has improvise. Apparently I'm getting all the improvise cards.
So, you seem to be doing. Have you been taking classes? Because your improvisation skills are pretty good.
So close.
I know.
So close.
So close. I can't talk. I'm so sorry.
So Herald here has flying at the beginning of your end step, or at your end step, if you will. Each opponent discards a card. And then he has an activated ability of generic and a black. Sacrifice an artifact to give target creature gets -2/-2 until end of turn. So this card does a lot of things. Can be cast on the cheap if you have enough artifacts to help out. And that I like that you get, assuming he survives till at least the end of your turn, you at least get one trigger of the discard card. So I mean that's pretty nice. And if you have enough artifacts in play, you can play it for maybe 2 to 3 mana, and then still have mana up to use its other ability. So, I think this is the type of card that, like, if Emrakul was still around, would just probably be stone unplayable. But the fact that it's not, maybe this is like the top end for some improvised deck.
This guy's rude too, because like those artifacts helped him get into play, and then he's like, "You're gone."
He's just throwing them away.
Gone.
He's like, well.
Goodbye. Thank you, but you're done now.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice that this one is able to come down and like ostensibly leave you with a bunch of open mana to throw the the ones you're talking like, yeah, I tapped all these and well, now we're gonna eat them. But it also works really well like curving into like Tezzeret, where Tezzeret leaves you like all those little things. There's a lot of cool. And I think the one thing to remember with this card is like that discard trigger. Like I've had this cast against me just like once or twice now, and the first time that happened, it was like, oh, it's like their end step, discard a card, and I was like, what? I was like,
yeah.
Oh, and like that really got me because like you run out of time to really, like eventually you find the answer for this card, but then like, you have less cards overall. So I think it's pretty good.
Yeah, like if they don't kill it right away, it's like a 2-for-1 automatically, right?
Yeah, literally.
Like even if they declaration and stone it, then you're like, okay, cool. So you discard a card and use your declaration and stone, and I get a clue.
Right.
That is an artifact, which is likely helpful for my deck.
Then you can cast the next one. Yeah, I mean, I like this card a lot. And like something like this would make me want to experiment with improvise, like along with the other improvise cards that we've seen. So,
well, there's some classes you could take if you want to experiment.
Yeah.
Columbus is
where do I go for
definitely a hopping spot for up and coming actors. We definitely have some connections.
Is that even true?
I think so.
There's plenty of like small playhouses and stuff like that. You have Catco and stuff like that. Yeah.
Look for Dave at your local Chuckle Hut. All right, Vengeful Rebel is next, which is it's Luke Skywalker. He's a Vengeful Rebel.
That's true.
But he calms himself down, so he becomes a Jedi and not a Sith. This is a 3/2 Aetherborn Warrior, not a vampire. Sorry, for a black and 2 generic. It has Revolt. So when it enters the battlefield, if a permanent you controlled left the battlefield this turn, target creature and opponent controls gets -3/-rings on a turn. So here we have the skin render sort of what's the
Wasteland
Strangler effect again with some hoops.
Is this like Wasteland Strangler's partner in crime? Is this like the apprentice of Wasteland Strangler? Or is this the copycat? This is the copycat killer. But
nice,
but not the actual combo.
Not the original
killer.
one, though. Yeah.
No.
Wow.
So many layers there.
This one, so it feels like it might be tricky to trigger, but probably worthwhile, especially in creature heavy matchups. Like this, like getting a body, like just a nice 2-for-1 can be really helpful. It's interesting that it works really well with the card we're going to talk about next, which is Yeheni. Sacrifice outlets make cards like this, great, much easier to trigger. So you can see that there's some elements here. 3 mana is a little awkward, but 3 mana 3/2 that also just kills a guy. It's good.
Yeah, I do think Revolt in Standard is going to be a little tough to make work consistently. We don't have fetch lands outside of what am I thinking of? The crappy one. Yeah, Evolving Wilds.
We have the one that cracks for 2 as well.
Okay.
Warp Landscape.
Yeah, that's it.
But we don't have actual fetch lands that make it super easy.
Yeah,
so,
I feel like they would not print this in Standard with that.
Right. But I actually think this could see some Modern play. I think because in Modern, you have a much easier time hitting Revolt with fetch lands. So I don't know. I think there are some decks that may want this effect as a 3 mana kind of Necrotal. So I don't know. I think it's a sweet one.
Yeah. I do also want to point out that yes, Revolt can be hard to trigger, but this does lead to interesting combat.
Yeah.
Where like
Yeah.
you just attack and like they can block with their blank your guy, and then this comes down afterwards to clean it up, and the creature that died in combat is a Revolt trigger. So that's a good like back and forth play style. So
I imagine this will be one of the best limited cards.
oh yeah.
So, not really surprising there. All right, so the next card we have is Yeheni, Undying Partisan. So it's 2 generic and a black for a legend, Aetherborn Vampire. It's a 2/2. He has haste. Whenever a creature an opponent controls dies, put a +1/+1 counter on Yeheni. And also as sacrifice another creature, Yeheni gains indestructible until end of turn. I'm not really sure on this one. This one's almost like a Kalidas, but not as good. That's what it feels like to me.
Why does this feel like Kalidas? Because the +1/+1 counter thing.
Because, yeah, like, when their creature dies, it gets counters. I don't know. It's not, like, exactly the same, but it feels similar.
I think it's closer to like Nantuko Husk.
Kind of, but it doesn't get bigger
You're
with
not
the
wrong,
sacrifice
but
your
I
own
think,
creatures.
I think the sacrifice. I just from I think its applications for standard. I think its sacrifice effect is much more because a Kalidas is not a card you want to attack with. It's not aggressive in any fashion.
Yeah, I mean, I will say, like, sacrifice outlets, whether you're buffing a creature or just using it for something else, like, having no mana attached to it and just being able to sacrifice another creature at, an instant speed, I think that's it's worthwhile in some decks.
Yeah, and that we've talked about aristocrats potentially being a thing that you can do in standard. Now that we don't have to worry about Emrakul, and this is one of those cards that kind of leads down that path. We have access to cards that make a lot of servos, a lot of tokens, so we have ways to win the game still with Zulaport Cutthroat being in the format. So this is kind of what the kind of cards that we look for when you want to make that sacrifice your own creature's sort of style of deck be a thing. So this is when we first saw this card before the bannings were announced. We were like, well, that's cool, I guess, but
You can't play this.
Yeah, it doesn't really do anything, but now you can. And this is sort of a linchpin within that strategy.
And I guess it makes it really easy to trigger Revolt. So I mean that may be hard to come by in standard, like we said, but being able to sacrifice creature at any time will make that fairly easy. Now, you are going to want to play some kind of token strategy or ways to like recur creatures, something like that, where you're going to have enough fuel. But,
Yes,
but yeah. I don't know. We'll see on that one. It feels like a 2/2 haste for 3. It doesn't seem that great, but
yeah. I mean,
we'll
we'll just kind of have to see. It is kind of awkward when you have things like Grasp in the format, and like when this guy is getting neg X, that is kind of a little bit disheartening because then indestructibility doesn't really matter. So that's kind of disheartening, but. Yeah, such is life, and hopefully this thing will be somewhat viable. So we'll just have to kind of wait and see how the format shakes out and see to see if this actually is a real thing.
all right.
But we can move on to our next card. So who's your Yeheni and what do they do?
So Yeheni's expertise is black, and 2 generic for a sorcery. All creatures get -3/-3 until end of turn. So almost languish.
So close.
Wow.
Yeah.
That was real. It also says you may cast a card with converted mana cost 3 or less from your hand without paying its mana cost, which is pretty good. We've had this card for a little while now, but it got a lot better with Copter being banned.
Yes.
It got a lot better because the aggro decks are really going to have to commit to the board. And man, like even if they have a threat that's bigger than a 3/3, like the things you can cast afterwards, like it could be Vengeful Rebel. Maybe you killed one of your own creatures and you did that. It could be Liliana, which then ticks up to kill the one creature that survived, which is a nightmare for a lot of decks. this one is interesting because I think it's definitely the one that is, it's super conditional, but I think it has the highest chance of being like necessary in the format because black. This is we have a couple of like flaying tendrils effects, but getting to 3 toughness is important for a couple of decks. So I have to feel like this card is going to be something you're going to see more often than not, depending on what sort of black decks shake out.
Yeah, I agree. Super good card. Was this the first card we saw?
This was like the first of the cycle that we saw.
Okay.
Yeah, we saw this in Trophy Mage for sure, and then Scrap Trawler, I believe.
Yeah, something like that.
All right.
That's black.
So
That's it. Moving along here.
Yeah, trying to get that pace onto red.
We gotta get the energy up too, Dave. I'm
Yeah.
gonna need you to just crank it up.
I'm almost done with my coffee, so I'm just waiting for that caffeine to kick in.
Do you want me to kick you in? Fatal push.
No, well, I don't need a fatal push.
What's your CMC?
5.
Darn it! I was gonna say I'll throw
Just
like
out of range.
I'll throw like a DVD or something out the window like, if I got a trigger. Anyways, so we're moving on to red then, Dave. Well, I guess. So, what do we think of black?
Black got some stuff. I don't know like where it necessarily sits. A lot of it is definitely artifact based. So
It definitively has the best removal spell in the format.
oh yeah, I mean
Yeah.
that
Which
bar
has always
none.
been true of black. Like Grasp has been very good anyways, but that required that black versus just black. Like talking about, you said like Sorin seeing play again. Well, black white control could be a thing. Esper could be a thing. Esper with fatal push. You know what I mean? It's possible. So I think like black may not have gained otherwise. Maybe there's a blue black artifact deck that exists with Tezzeret. And again, like we'll talk about Tezzeret again, but Tezzeret makes Lotus Petals that can sacrifice themselves to then pay the black to fatal push. So like these things they do go together. They have that synergy thing.
They certainly do. So we'll kind of have to see how where everything lands. But I don't think black made it out bad at all.
Cool.
I think black has some cards that may or may not be good, like we talked about. Like it has some that may end
Some
up being pretty
questionable
good.
ones.
Yeah.
And I won't deny you that. So, but red, let's start off. I'm kind of hungry. Do you have anything that I can feast on?
How about some flames?
Sure.
That seems you should eat those.
Yeah, that's
okay.
probably bad for your health.
Well, if I was a creature, what would it do to me?
Probably like 3
Probably.
damage.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you were a person, it's probably like 2.
Okay. And how much would this cost?
That's Dave's card,
$3.
Oh, so it's Taco Bell. I understand now.
Yeah.
3 red sets.
Fair enough. Then yeah, it's definitely Taco Bell. Yeah, so 2 generic and a red for hungering flames or
Hungry flames.
hungry
Hungry.
flames.
So yeah.
So this is like a kind of a searing blaze, kind of not, kind of a searing blood, kind of not.
It's a searing blaze that's always turned on, but somebody broke the control, so it's like not all the way on.
Yeah.
So yeah, so it's an instant that deals 3 to a creature and 2 damage to target player. So it's not like Searing Blood where the creature had to die.
No,
so
you
in
get
that
the
way
damage
it's pretty
either
good.
way. Yeah.
And you don't have to like have landfall like
Right.
Searing Blade. So yeah, I mean it has its downside by costing 3, but I think this card is definitely playable.
I've been thinking more and more about this card because it's expensive. I was trying to think of where it's the best, and I think honestly it's probably really well positioned in this format for any sort of aggressively sanded red deck because it interacts very favorably with Gideon. I was thinking of like the old Crackling Doom lines where you with like Sorin, where you would the Sorin was at
Jeez.
like Sad Visitor or whatever he was.
Solemn visitor.
Sad visitor to the elderly care center.
So it's like, can we do like one of the memes that have been floating around where it's like a really high definition picture of a card and then, of a thing, and then the description, and then it slowly gets worse and worse. So like it's Sorin, Solemn Visitor, and then it's like Sorin, Sad Traveler.
Sorin misses his dragon pal. But anyways, so because like if they go you have a creature, but they go Gideon, make a guy with their intentions, they just want to untap with Gideon, and you're just like, all right, well, I'll kill the creature, deal 2 to Gideon, and attack the final 2 to Gideon, and it feels like that sequence may be pretty important. Clear the blocker, hit the Gideon, and I think that alone makes it worth looking at in the broader context of the format where we say Gideon's going to be so good. Beyond other applications, like just killing a creature and dealing damage to a player for aggressively slanted red decks is something they're always looking to do because you get more for your money, so to speak.
I think like even in like one of the worst case scenarios for this card, where it's like, say if you're playing against like the Saheeli combo deck, you could still like break up the combo by
Saheeli.
killing the Saheeli and in response to the -2. So, it's obviously going to be great against creatures with 3 or less toughness, but it's not going to be completely dead in other scenarios.
Yeah. Yeah, as somebody who likes playing aggressive decks, this is like one of the more exciting cards that I saw from this set. Sadly, that's where a lot of the excitement ends, in my opinion. But meh. Yeah.
Moving on to one of our red mythics. Remember we had that spark of creativity? It was like run red and you get to flip over a card. What if you get to do that a lot? What if it was so creative it was like unstoppable, like
you just couldn't,
if you will.
Just couldn't even stop it.
Like
I'm so creative. It's just like you got power thirst, but for creativity.
This person took some sort of like Kaladesh like drug, and just like they cannot stop the creativity. It's just coming out. It's just oozing the Aether out of their brain.
Yeah, this is like the Beatles.
This is Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds.
Yeah, exactly.
Man, honestly, now that you look at the art,
yeah,
not wrong.
Nope.
This is definitely a deep cut from Sgt. Pepper's.
What is that? That like symbol?
That's the sword from Halo.
No, that's the Rebel. Yeah, that's true. No, that's the Rebel insignia. It's the Aether reservoir overturned so that the Aether is free for people.
I thought it was Sephiroth casting Meteor. If you turn it a little bit to the left,
maybe. I like the Halo sword though. Yeah, it's definitely an energy sword.
Halo sword.
So this is a sorcery that costs 3 red X. Destroy X target artifacts and/or creatures. That sounds great. There's a lot more text. For each permanent destroyed this way, its controller reveals cards from the top of his or her library until an artifact or creature card is revealed and exiles that card. Exiles that card. Those players put the exiled cards onto the battlefield, then shuffle the library. So essentially, like a weird polymorph.
Yeah. This is like a Chaos Warp or what have you on steroids, right?
Yeah, these slots just continue to seem wasted. Like,
yeah, stop it.
And stop trying to do this in red.
Hey, I'm totally fine with this card being a mythic because that's probably never going to be more than like $5. We don't want like the $40 mythic, right?
Well, I guess, but this
I
card
also
is just
like good cards in general.
We're
not saying
I get it. I know that one of you is very
it's a
excited
mythic
right
effect.
Now. You have your 4 Emrakul deck, and then you're only playing like token generators, so you can cast this. I get it, but
this is what you do.
I understand it's a mythic effect. It's also been done so many times in different ways that it just stops being like. Who's excited about this? Who's excited about Polymorph? You know that card that was in 5th edition. Hey, let's make it red and make it do a lot of them. Oh wait, no, that was a blue card too. Mass Polymorph. We have to pay X.
Well, you can just do this for 1. I mean, you could just cast it for 4.
Sack, kill a creature.
No. You hit a servo and then you put something into play.
Great. Literally could play Polymorph though and play blue in modern.
Not
play this.
Not in standard.
Who's doing this in standard?
No one.
I'm just saying. You could.
Yeah.
That's like the whole point of the card. I don't think you want to just hit your opponent's stuff.
About this card.
Anyway,
I hate these designs.
I thought it was an interesting card.
I'm sorry if you really like it. I'm sorry I'm being negative, but these kind of designs just feel like
I hate these
red
designs.
Needs something. Red needs a shot in the arm. You just ban Copter, give it something to do. Yes, I'm not saying that their mythic slot should be the best aggressive card ever, but make it playable. Would you label this card as playable in standard?
No.
Probably not.
Okay,
but
there you go.
It's a cool card.
Is it? I just don't care anymore about these cards.
Nope, don't. Disinterested. It's not a
You don't think
piece.
somebody's gonna brew up a sweet FNM deck and put 2
maybe they do.
Metalwork Colossus in play or something?
But for each person that wants to do that, more people are opening these cards and hating them. This is a card that is the reason for Flip It or Rip It. It's why it exists because it just makes people angry. I opened up all my Aether Revolt packs. Guess what my mythic was?
Yeah.
It's ripped up and I ate it.
What was your foil mythic?
It was another one. That was cool. So I don't know. I'm being really down. We're spending more time on this card than we ever should.
All right,
sorry.
Next card. So I put this on. I don't even know if this card's going to be good or not, but we'll talk about it. Invigorated Rampage. So it's a generic and a red for an instant. Choose 1. Target creature gets +4/+0 and gains trample until end of turn. Or 2 target creatures each get +2/+0 and gain trample until end of turn. So I thought like this might be a card that the red green energy deck might want to play.
Yeah, I did play a little bit with the deck with playing like two of these. I think you supplant maybe one or two of the other cards in the list. We probably don't play like you play one less of the.
It's like the 1 mana like +2 and trample whatever thing.
Yeah, you don't play that. But this card is interesting because it does allow you to have a more interesting line of play, theoretically. So one of the things that I was able to do with this is kind of blow people out with certain types of removal while playing the Pummeler deck. So what you do is you cast your sorcery speed 1 with 2 open, and they try to kill your guy in response, which makes sense. But then you just play this, and then if it's not something like if it's something like anything that deals damage or like a grasp or something like that, you just double after this thing resolves because it only checks power. It's great. So it does give that deck a little bit more play to play around certain removal spells due to it being instant speed. Theoretically, being able to hit 2 creatures might also be relevant in that deck if you are attacking with your Hydra and something else. So it is something, but that deck is still so fragile. It doesn't have the sort of the same things that Infect does. It also has to get do a lot more damage theoretically than Infect does. I don't know if that deck is still going to be a thing. The nice thing is Fatal Push doesn't hit Pummeler all the time.
Yeah, being 3 mana is definitely going to be much better than 2.
Yes.
So,
which is definitely the nice thing. And Bristling Hydra is still a card in the format that gives control decks fits, which is also really nice. But it's really hard to play versus the combo, the Saheeli Rai combo. Because your deck don't do anything about that, and it's just faster than you. You just don't have any interaction.
Harness Lightning.
You have Harness Lightning, which is again your deck's now going to be chock full of like 2 mana spells, which is
Shock.
really awkward.
Shock
and you can't play Shock. I don't think you play Shock main though. I think you play it on the sideboard. So maybe that deck is where aggro goes, and it just becomes sort of a combo deck, a combo aggro deck. But I think this card definitely has a spot for it because it's instant speed, and I think that's huge.
So credit to Morgan here. I'm looking at the art for this card, and I just happened to notice how much these gremlins look just like what. Have you ever seen the movie The Witches, which is based off the Roald Dahl book? What the witches when they are turned into mice look like? And I even pulled up a picture to show him, and he keeps nodding his head and doing a good job keeping it straight.
Oh yeah, it's horrifying. I want you to understand this. And they definitely do look like gremlins. And I'm not going to sleep tonight. So thank you.
You're
thank
welcome.
You for that.
You're welcome.
I appreciate that.
Well, while you consider how you're going to sleep, I'm going to move on to the next card.
Oh, please do.
This is Kari Zev, the Skyship Raider. She's a 1/3 legendary creature. Yeah, 1/3 in red. It's weird. Legendary creature, human pirate, that costs a red and a generic. She has First Strike and Menace. Whenever Kari Zev, Skyship Raider, attacks, create a legendary 2/1 red monkey creature token named Ragamuffin that's tapped and attacking. Exile that token at end of combat.
Oh, so sweet.
So they took my design for your cube, and they made it worse, but it's still a thing. So this is sort of interesting. First off, you do get essentially 3 power for your 2-drop in red, spread across 2 bodies, but it is what it is. It's also interesting though that the monkey specifically, leaving play causes your revolts to trigger, which is what you really want, I think, out of this card.
You don't care if they block it. It's kind of like Geist.
Yeah,
Saint Trapped, where it's you could block the angel, whatever. It's gonna die anyway. And
Kari Zev is sort of hard to block because First Strike and Menace means that normally with Menace you just want to throw a 1/1 in front of it and then something else, but you better make sure the second creature is big enough because the First Strike will kill the 1/1. So sort of interesting. 1/3 bodies are really weird in red though.
Yeah, it's remember when we had that red 1 double striking creature that exiled cards so you could cast them. And remember all the play I didn't see any play. I know it's a different format. I know. Obviously, but
this has to see play though, right? This This is a pirate with a monkey. Read the flavor text. She has a ship called the Dragon Smile.
Yeah, I mean, all of these things are great. It being a 1/3 is just like it's disappointing. I think you can still play it, but it's also like legendary.
I don't think you can really look at it as a 1/3 though.
Yeah,
It's really like a 3/4, right?
It's
Sure.
certainly not a 3/4. You
It's
cannot
definitely-
look at it like a 3/4.
Yeah,
We'll never
it's like-
block for 4.
Okay, you could at least say it's 3 power.
Yeah, I agree. I said that.
So like a 3/3.
Sure.
But it's just. Is it the most exciting thing you've been doing on turn 2? I don't know. If your deck definitely wants Revolt triggers, though, then yeah, you probably want it. I don't know what I've seen so far that says, let's play this to make sure I get my Revolt trigger.
Yeah, exactly. Especially like not in red.
Now, we mentioned earlier sacrifice outlets. So if you have a way to sacrifice creatures, you could always just sacrifice the monkey, as it.
It's cruel, but yes.
Yeah.
But see, it's a flavor fill because the monkey will just come back.
What's really awesome is in this format you can shock the monkey.
You can relive that what Peter Gabriel hit.
Yeah, is it Peter? That was Peter Gabriel or Genesis?
I have no idea.
Yeah, I don't know.
I just know that Peter Gabriel goes shock the monkey.
Yeah, it definitely is Peter Gabriel, but I don't know if it's like on here.
I don't care which band did it. I just know who's singing
we
it.
really need to look this up.
I'm
So
looking it up
It has
right
to
now.
be Peter
It's
Gabriel.
Peter Gabriel.
Yeah, it has to be because it's weird.
And, I think we've actually mentioned this on here before, but that is a man from the 80s, underrated catalog. Go listen to Peter Gabriel's greatest hits. You will not be disappointed. Not to mention you get to hear Sledgehammer, which is
Yeah,
like
the
unbelievable.
best.
But like, there's a bunch of songs where it's just like, wow, this is just like really good, underrated. Here's to you, Peter Gabriel. Are we still?
Kari Zev, I don't know.
Are we still
It-
reviewing
it's a
cards?
card.
Because like, I kind of just want to listen to Peter
Sorry,
Gabriel.
we were going to talk about what Kari Zev does.
What we did.
No. Like what professionally.
professionally. All right. Kari Zev's expertise is generic red sorcery. Gain control of target creature or vehicle until end of turn. Untap it. It gains haste until end of turn. You may cast a card with converted mana cost 2 or less from your hand without paying its mana cost.
Cool. I
So-
remember when they printed Hijack last set.
Yeah, that was like my first thought when I saw this. I was like, really?
It's like-
That's it?
So I have to say this is probably my least favorite card from the set, just for the sheer fact that did you run out of like design ideas? They're like, well, I don't know. Let's just print a card that we already printed and then put some more text on it. It's like, come on, like I don't understand.
At least make it so like if you take a vehicle, it's like it gets auto crewed or something like
That
that.
would be great.
Because it doesn't, as is, you have to still crew it.
Yeah, it's so frustrating. This card is so bland in design, and it just. And it's almost a smack in the face because the best thing that you could possibly take. It's definitely like a copter, and it doesn't exist now.
Yeah, and I want to point out too that like the casting, I think for 2, like ostensibly in red, you want to be casting something with haste, something that gets to attack 2. But there's not a lot of things that do that. And I was telling Morgan, even in testing, like trying out Saram's expertise, interaction that came up that I wasn't thinking about. Like I was like, man, I'm going to play all these token producers, going to play this aristocrat deck, but I'm going to play Bushwhacker, Reckless Bushwhacker, right? Like that makes sense. You can't surge this. You have to get the effect of surge. You have to pay the surge cost, right? Like I know this is
Oh,
I
yeah,
guess that
yeah,
card's cost
yeah.
3, but I'm thinking of things like even things that are designed to, if like, oh, did you cast 2 spells? You could do that. Well, you can't do that either. You can't do these things. So like, what are you casting in red with this? Like Incendiary Flow?
Ooh,
Yeah, I still think that's fine. Like that could be a big play though. Like taking their big creature, then like casting a Harness Lightning and killing something else in the same turn.
Sure, it could be, but
It's definitely like the least exciting of all the expertises, I would say.
looking at the red decks the way they're designed right now, or at least how the cards are designed, like, so by the time you can cast this for the effect you want that wins the game may be out of reach. And if you cast it too early, then you just threw you spent your hand and your opponent's at 5 and you can never get back in again because the reach in this format's bad. I don't know. Someone's going to like it's going to be used. Don't get me wrong. Like effects like this are usable, but
yeah, it's just the sheer fact that it's the best form of that effect currently in standard.
Right.
So whoop-de-doo. But all the other expertise at least feel like unique, and this one just feels
they feel
lazy,
unique, and they feel like they work. Like I get it. You can technically cast your Kari Zev off of this, so that I guess it's synergistic. But like the other ones also seem set up to really take advantage of cards in the format that want to go with this. Unless I'm just blanking on something hard. Like if casting a a lightning strike essentially is your best thing you're doing with this, then it gets fine. But yeah, I'm certainly not like, yay, which is sad because this art is unbelievable, and I can't wait to see some cosplays of Karizev because I think it's gonna be sweet.
Yeah, it's
They
a
made
cool character.
They made a cool character, and they put her on a cool card and then a really average card.
Yeah, it's disappointing, and like as you know a very I like playing aggressive decks. Overall, I think Redless form in the set is just so bad.
The interesting thing is, I think the card we'll talk about at the end of Red, that Dave you put on here, the Wrangle card. I think had this card just been that card with the same clause, it's actually just like super playable and fun, but this makes it tedious. So
yeah,
what are you gonna do? We moving on.
Moving on.
P is Revolution, which definitely looks like a Rush album cover. So that makes me really happy.
So this there's another card that like if you put the arts up next to each other, they're
connected.
Chandra's Revolution, right?
Is it Chandra's Revolution?
It is. The Chandra's Revolution is a.
You can see the fire of Chandra on the left side of Pia.
Yeah, it's Chandra's Revolution is definitely a limited, a good limited card.
Yeah, a good limited card.
We didn't talk about that one.
Don't need to.
So this is an enchantment that costs a red and 2 generic. Whenever a non-token artifact is put into your graveyard from the battlefield, return that card to your hand unless target opponent has Pia's Revolution, deal 3 damage to him or her. And we talked about this a little bit when it first got spoiled, how it kind of feels like an Athreos God of Passage style card. But interestingly enough, I've already seen a couple of builds, and this is one of them was Saffron Olive, so there you go. But like there are some eggs in this format that what we're going to be talking about. And there's definitely a couple builds with this card that you can just cycle through your deck pretty quickly, until they start taking 3 damage. I don't know how playable that is, but this is another card that really it says combo with me. It says take advantage of this.
Yeah, it's definitely is you'd want to play this in some kind of combo where you're looping, sacrificing artifacts for some kind of effects. Where, like, if they let you have it, that's bad for them, and if they take damage, that's bad for them. It definitely has like kind of like a Punisher mechanic feel to it, which isn't great, but I think it's I don't know.
And to be honest, Athreos didn't light up the standard scene in different format and in different colors.
Yeah.
More difficult to cast, and we'll see. I wasn't really sold on this card when I saw it, and it does have combo potential, but
I'm not totally sold on it being good, but I think we should at least mention it just because of it has potential to do something.
Yeah, if it broke out, I wouldn't be surprised. It wouldn't catch me completely off guard, but I'm not actively trying to build with it.
Sure.
Agreed.
So you added this to the list, huh?
I did.
Okay.
I guess it's worth discussing.
I guess so. All right. Ravenous Intruder. 1 generic, 1 red for a gremlin. It's a 1/2. Sacrifice an artifact. Gets +2/+2 until end of turn. So it's just ATOG.
Yep.
But not. Which makes me sad.
I think it's important just because I think there is an Aristocrats build that exists. And I think the more sacrifice outlets you have, in this case, you're probably just acting servos. But even looking at Pia's Revolution we just talked about, this card probably has a place in that deck. I also think it's important to point out that there is I was looking for it, and it's been brought up a few times in conjunction with another combo. But there is a fling in this format. It's attached to a creature. It's Barrage Tyrant. But that used to be a thing. the old Atog fling, make it a good old healthy power, and then just throw it at your opponent, and that's something you can possibly do as well. So it's interesting.
It's too bad we don't have Team or Battle Rage, but what are you gonna do?
Yeah, if only.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. I feel like if there's going to be a heavy artifact based deck, it would be black. Blue, maybe red though. Red's probably the third.
I think between don't forget you have Zulaport Cutthroat still in the format, and between this and Yeheni, and
so you think black red kind of artifact sacrifice.
I think it's Mardu.
Mardu, yeah, you get the servos.
Because you can play the animation module combo in the deck as well.
Yeah,
so
we'll get to that. But.
Yeah, we'll get to. But I'm saying so I think this card is a piece of that puzzle. I'm just not sure how big.
Okay. Definitely more credit than I was originally giving it credit for, which. Was none.
It just says sacrifice for no mana. We've said it so many times. And in this format, half your creatures are artifacts. It's worth looking at.
That's true. Yeah, even if you don't see it now, just having that effect is.
Well, and I think again, people I'm going to say it again. Zulaport Cutthroat is legal in standard. I think people have forgotten about it since Rally, but it's still here. it's it's in Zendikar, so make use of it.
All right. We're to
Oh yeah,
release the hounds.
Gremlins.
Oh,
Jeez.
same thing.
No, this is the third one. This is Gremlins, and there's Gremlins a new batch, and there's Gremlins 3. Release the Gremlins.
Okay. Is that really what it's called?
There's no Gremlins 3.
Damn. Dude, it's been a long time.
Whoa, whoa, wait.
I'll let that slide.
Ooh.
I'm not going back and editing that. He was referencing like what Beaver's built.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's it. I mean, I guess we're allowed, like, if we're keeping this PG-13, we're allowed, like, one nasty curse word.
Yeah, I
right?
think so.
And that wasn't even a bad
You
one.
could throw like
so-
one S in there.
Oh, no, you get
No,
you
no,
get
no S's.
you
A
get an
soft,
F.
a
You
soft,
get one.
a soft
Don't
F.
don't be S'ing anywhere here.
I think you're allowed to see, like, my blood as well. Just once, though.
No,
What?
none of this.
We're not visual. They won't know that I have my blood out.
I don't want to. No, please continue with the next card.
So release the butt.